Hello friends, I am Sunil Ranjan and I am an English teacher. Now in this session I have come up with modernism. Well, modernism was a cultural movement of the late 19th century to the mid 20th century. It changed art, literature, music, architecture and drama. It has its origins in the late 19th and early 20th centuries, mainly in Europe and North America. It is characterized by a self-conscious break with traditional ways of writing, in both poetry and prose fiction. It rejected tradition and was interested in new ways of doing old things. There was a belief that science and technology could change the world for the better. Modernists experimented with literary form and expression, as exemplified by Ezra Pound's statement to make it new. This literary movement was driven by a conscious desire to overturn traditional modes of representation and express the new sensibilities of the time. The horrors of the First World War made modernists reassess the existing assumptions about society. Most of the modernist writing goes with the technological advances and societal changes while moving into the 20th century. Now, coming to characteristics of modernism. Well, I have given here point-wise. Now, number one, break with tradition. Modernism is marked by a strong and intentional break with tradition. This break includes a strong reaction against established religious, political, and social views. Number two, individual human perception. Well, modernism believes that the world is created as one perceives it. It underscores the idea that the world is what one says it is. Number three, absence of absolute truth. According to modernism, there is no such thing as absolute truth. All things in the world are relative. Number four, no connection with history or institutions. Well, modernism views itself as not connected with history or institutions. In modernism, there is expression of alienation, loss, and despair. Number five, inner strength of the individual. Modernism champions the performance of the individual. It celebrates his inner strength that leads him to perform what he feels right dynamically. Number six, unordered life. There is no set or sequence in modernism. There is freedom to do what one likes, and there are no prejudices or barriers that are led by any preconceived notions. Now, number seven, elements of the subconscious. In modernism, beliefs, memories, skills, and all situations one has been through is stored in the subconscious mind. Often there is reflection of such elements in the behavior of the characters. The horrors of World War I. Well, I begin again. Now, what I mentioned were the characteristics, and there were 7 points. Now, moving on further, the horrors of World War I, that the period of which was 1914 to 19, with its accompanying atrocities and senselessness, became the catalyst for the modernist movement in literature and art. Modernists felt betrayed by the atrocities, senselessness, and the horrors of World War I. They felt devastated by the fact that the institutions in which they were taught to believe had led the civilized world into a bloody conflict. They rejected these institutions as reliable means to access the meaning of life and therefore tuned within themselves to discover the answers. Their antipathy towards traditional institutions found its way into their writing, not just in content but in form too. Now, coming to the names of the popular modernists. Number one is James Joyce. His most experimental and famous work, Ulysses, completely abandons generally accepted notions of plot, setting, and characters. Next is Ford Madox Ford. His book, The Good Soldier, examines the negative effects of war. Next, Virginia Woolf. Her work, To the Lighthouse, breaks away from conventional forms and focuses on stream of consciousness. Next, Steve Smith. His novel On Yellow Paper parodies conventionality. Next is Aldous Huxley. Now, his much celebrated work, Brave New World, protests against the dangers and nature of modern society. Next is D.H. Lawrence. Now, his novels reflect on the dehumanizing effect of modern society. The next to come is T.S. Eliot. Eliot's The Wasteland is associated with London and emphasizes the emptiness of industrialization. Now, American writers of the 1920s brought modernism to the United States. For writers such as Hemingway and Fitzgerald, World War I destroyed the illusion that acting virtually brought about good. Like their British contemporaries, American modernists rejected traditional institutions and forms. Now, the first to come is Ernest Hemingway. His books, The Sun Also Rises and A Farewell to Arms, chronicle the meaninglessness of human life. The next American is F. Scott Fitzgerald. His work, The Great Gatsby, shows through its protagonist, Jay Gatsby, the corruption of the American dream. And the last on the list is, and there are three names, John Doe, Hart Crane, and Sherwood Anderson, and they are also other prominent writers of the period. So here I come to the end of the topic, that is modernism, and I hope you have listened to it carefully. And my dear, if you have subscribed to my channel, well is fine. If you haven't, do subscribe to my channel, because in the time to come, I promise that I'll be coming up with finer videos for you, and that's my promise. Thank you.